how to find the right co-founder, not just any co-founder, but the right co-founder. When I'm advising founders, I find that founders make some pretty common mistakes when it comes to seeking a co-founder. Let's talk about whether you need a co-founder or not. I don't like having co-founders, but I understand the importance of co-founders. Startups fundamentally are very difficult to do by yourself. And unless you have that combination of the ability to build something, sell something, and do everything else, you got a great emotional support network and just support. You're in an environment where you can pull it off. I always advise getting co-founders, but I advise against getting co-founders or getting any co-founder to begin with, because you're going to be giving away a lot of equity, which is very expensive. But also, it's true that co-founders are less expensive than, let's say, outsourcing your development forever. The right co-founder, technical co-founder especially, will save you money in the long run, but also cost you a lot of equity, cost a lot of the upside in the long run. So it's a mixed bag. And I know there's arguments for both sides, but fundamentally, I don't enjoy having co-founders because I've had a lot of bad experiences with co-founders, but I've also had some fantastic experiences with certain co-founders that I would make my co-founder in a heartbeat in any new venture. And that's how much I really appreciate those relationships. The reason that founders make a big mistake when it comes to finding the co-founder is just simply the intention in the process of how they're going about getting co-founder. So let's break this down. I'm going to talk about how not to get a co-founder to begin with. And what you do is think through the process. And if you are trying to find a co-founder to fill a particular position, then I'm just going to tell you that is not the way to go about it. So let's just imagine we're looking at this pie chart here, and this is you. So here you are. And then you want to go find a technical co-founder, which also, again, I highly recommend. If you can't build something, eventually you're going to want a co-founder to build something. And so you say, okay, we need to get a CTO, and we're going to give them a piece of the pie and make them a co-founder, or I'm going to give them a piece of pie. And let's say you need someone, you want to bring someone on for marketing, et cetera. And then let's say you want a COO, and you start divvying up the pie. But the term co-founder is something you should really think about. What exactly is a co-founder? There's a difference between co-founder and an employee. And the difference is a co-founder has just as much of passion, belief, and intensity as far as commitment as you do. And depending on the slice of the pie or how much they're incentivized, well, that's going to determine how much they're in, and they're bought in, and they're truly partners. You can tell when you've got a serious co-founder. They are up all night, just like you, looking at the problem, trying to solve the problem, figuring out the different possibilities, et cetera. And this is where filling a position and making them a co-founder is a little scary. Because, for example, say you bring in a CTO, and in the beginning, your company is very nascent and you only need a certain degree of technical expertise, and you bring in someone and say, we're going to make you the CTO. We're going to give you this chunk of the pie right here. And then what happens? You actually get somewhere and you bring some investments. What happens if that CTO co-founder, you've given them the title co-founder and CTO, they're not up to the task anymore? They're limited. That's all you could attract in the beginning with your little measly budget, maybe no budget. And you said, I'm just going to incentivize you. Well, if you've given them that title and also the position, what if you need to go hire an actual CTO, one with experience? What are you going to do? Demote your co-founder? That's not going to work. So co-founders have an equal participation and passion. And quite frankly, co-founders don't care what title that they have. In fact, if I can hire someone better than me as the CTO or CMO or any COO or any of those positions, I'm like, great, but they are employees. And I may give them a slice of the pie here and say, this is for all employees. So I'm going to set aside some of the share pool and say, okay, this is going to get distributed based on vesting schedules, cliffs, performance, options, etc. But that's what I'm going to do. So it's just not a good idea to say, I have a position I need to fill, and therefore I'm going to dangle the co-founder carrot and say I'm going to make them a co-founder, because you end up in really sticky situations. And this has happened to me. I've been invited and I've said yes to become a co-founder in a company because I fill a particular position. And then expectations get all wonky. I've done the same. I brought someone in. I said, I'm going to make you a co-founder. And then what happens is I'm expecting them to care as much as I do, to work as much as I do. And then sometimes the situations are vice versa, when they say, no, I just came in for a job and you've incentivized me as a co-founder. That gets a little sticky. What do you want to do? Well, I've had some really great instances where the co-founders that I really cherish have started off as contractors or employees, and then eventually shown that they could be co-founders, and the magic starts to happen. Here's how I would recommend getting co-founders: is just start talking to people who are smarter than you, got different skills than you, about the problem that you're going to solve. Talk about the possibilities. You'll find the wrong co-founder if they just poo-poo your ideas. For example, I had one person who wanted to be a co-founder, and this individual, every time I spoke with them about possibilities and things I was dreaming of, it was like they always had their foot hovered over the brake. It was always this fear response. That's not possible. What I think of as analogy-based thinking, that hasn't worked in my past. That's not going to, therefore it's not going to work in the future, or that competition's doing that, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just, it didn't work out. And unfortunately, I made the mistake of going in a co-founder relationship, and it just ended with a really bad divorce. And that's happened previous times before. What I want is to talk to someone and for me to say, yeah, I'm thinking about solving the problem that way. How would you solve the problem? And they go, wow, you know what? You could do that. And then you could do this. And let's say I have an idea and it's a bad idea. And I say, we're going to make this completely free for everybody. And instead of that person saying, well, that's not going to make us any money, that's the dumbest idea anymore, they're going to ask me my motivation, but they say, okay, what if we made it free for these people, and then they referred these people and the money came in this way? Or what if we made it free up to a certain point in time, we monetize? That sounds like a really good idea. And they may say, you know what, I thought about it all night. I like your idea of how we're going to go into the market with this whole freemium package, but I got an even better idea. What about sponsors? And that way we can still get paid, but make it free, et cetera. So we're mashing it away. We're working with each other. And there's this symbiotic, I know that's a overused word, symbiotic. I'm going to use another really cliche word, synergy together, where you're just trying to solve that problem together. And you see that they've got passion, the same type of values that you do, and they're willing to build something with you. And that's another key thing. Someone's got to build it and someone's got to sell it. If you can't do both, guess what? Then you got to divvy up the labor, and you don't want co-founders to have, overlapping skills. So if they can build something, make them a co-founder if they show that they're able to build it and they got the same passion as you. Again, going back to the beginning, this is completely opposite from, I need a CTO, or I need someone to program this, and therefore I'm going to make you a co-founder, versus, are you passionate about the problem? Are you as creative? Do you have the same intensity of execution? And that only comes over a period of time. Again, making someone a co-founder just to fill a position is an expensive proposition. It can end very badly. You can have dead money on your cap table, or ghost shareholders, if you will. They can hold your cap table hostage and prevent you from raising investment later, etc. But finding someone who you can have those conversations with, and there's a mutual energy and a passion that makes everything better because you're both hyper focused on the problem and you have the same values of intensity of that execution required to build something and go out and sell it, and also understands how startups work. The worst co-founders are the ones that come from big business and are happy in big business systems, or the ones that have no clue about entrepreneurship or what have you. I often will tell potential co-founders, and I weed them out, to go read the Lean Startup and tell me what they learn, and then show me what they would build or how they would apply it, etc. And you can tell right away, because the majority of people are better designed, not because they're lacking something or they're less intelligent, because they've grown up in a particular system, maybe a value system. There's social conditioning that says, I function better in a big company. Well, you're going to weed those people out by educating them about what startup is, and also having lots of conversations about solving the problem and saying, what little prototype or MVP can we build? And let's not worry about the company. Another red flag. Someone who comes in and immediately starts saying, well, I'm going to get 50% of the company, or what are my shares, etc. I don't even get to that. And I've saved myself a lot of drama and a lot of heartache when I brought some co-founders together. I've invested a little bit of money to do a prototype, and everybody starts asking, what are my shares worth, et cetera. I say, we're not even going to think about that. We're not even going to incorporate. What we're going to do is see if we can solve the problem and come out with one little prototype, knowing that our first prototype is probably wrong and probably going to fail. Can you handle that? And I've been in situations where suddenly it gets a little hard and everybody starts freaking out, or a large contingent starts freaking out. And I go, guess what? You're not co-founders anymore. Good thing we didn't incorporate. Good thing we didn't go get investors. Good thing we didn't talk about share structure, etc. We just did the test. Can we actually solve the problem, or attempt to solve the problem, using a startup methodology? There you have it. I hope that's been helpful. And I hope this helps you avoid a lot of the co-founder mistakes that I see startups make, and that founders right now are in a situation. I'm contending with different founders that the co-founders are just not working out, and the entire startup is at risk. So if you're someone out there looking for technical help and you want to dangle that co-founder carrot, think twice. Please think twice about it. Or if you're really legitimately looking for a co-founder, I've given you the steps on how to do it. Let me know if you have any questions. We got office hours available for you. Happy to chat and talk your situation through. See you in the next video.